You got your Newsies hat on.
I got my Newsies hat to report the Newsies. Look at this guy. He's a giant robot. Back to you.
Lazor Comb.
We are not going to panic.
What the heck even happened to you, man?
Vengeance.
Shrimp Daddy! Ha 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 ha!
Give him a hockey stick!
What am I, fucking magician, man?
Am I some kind of fucking magician, man?
Fucking nerd.
Big nerd.
Whatever. It's not like we're professionals anyway.
And I'm not sorry anymore.
Time to bake brain.
Every day, yes.
What is the airwolf of trains?
Greetings, superhuman cyber samurais of the Cyber-Squadronium. Welcome to episode 113 of the Lazor Comb podcast, the show where we comb through random episodes of classic TV with a fine-tooth laser. I am, as always, Cyber Siege, one of your hosts.
And I'm just a newsboy from the Great Depression, brought into the future to talk about this. The future looks bleak. They're giant robots fighting giant dinosaurs.
The digital future.
I don't know also why I'm from the UK, but
The digital future. You're a newsie in the digital future in which print is dead. The irony.
The horror. I am NeoCal in a digital world.
And I'm Cyber Siege in a material girl. Oh. Well, that didn't come out the way I meant it. Well,
really, you just turned into the kombucha girl meme.
No. Yeah, pretty much. That didn't come out the way I wanted it to, but whatever. This week on the Lazor Comb podcast, we are continuing on with our theme of tokusatsu themed TV shows from the 1990s. What is tokusatsu? Think Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
The gist of it is there's teenagers.
They have attitudes. There's a Japanese show where like Ultraman types fight monster types. You film some story to go along with it. You get the rights to use this old like footage, mash them together, and here we are. Yeah, instead of just importing the show directly, for some reason they decide to take fight footage from the show and film new stuff around it to make
involving the show kids transforming into them,
to Americanize it.
Well, kids, sorry.
Quote,
if you're Power Rangers, the kids are like 240-pound muscular like men in their like mid-20s. But
yeah, and even what was it? Even VR Troopers, like the cast of that show were like in their, I think the youngest one was the chick, and she was like 20.
Oh right, yeah.
But I don't know that they were I don't know that they were explicitly supposed to be teenagers in that show.
The one where they actually were kids was Big Bad Beetleborgs, which
so far has been the best of the bunch.
Easily.
Yeah, by a pretty wide margin, I gotta say.
But shall Superhuman Samurai Syber-Squad be the one to topple that?
Superhuman Samurai Pizza Cats?
Pizza Cats? Be the one to topple that? No.
Well,
let's stay tuned to find out.
Let's find out, because this week we're talking about Superhuman Samurai Syber-Squad.
The evil Kilo Khan lives inside computer circuits. With the help of Malcolm Frink, he creates megavirus monsters to attack electronic systems. Meanwhile, a freak accident turns Sam Collins into Servo. His friends join forces in their samurais attack vehicles. Together, they transform into the Superhuman Samurai Syber-Squad.
Superhuman Samurai. Superhuman
humans in a cyber squad. Superhuman.
Do. And, well, we put it through the old random number generator, and we landed on episode 25, which I am absolutely prepared to talk about, and I am not scrolling down the list of episodes on Wikipedia right now to remember what the name of it is.
We have all the information up. We definitely didn't watch episode 25, Rock and Roll Viruside.
Yep. Which originally aired on October 6th of 1994. See, while I was talking there, I got to that part of the Wikipedia
which you
page,
already had up.
Which I already had up.
Yeah.
I did have the Wikipedia page up. I just wasn't I wasn't on the episode list.
Well, we must have picked a good one.
We didn't pick anyone, really. It's the old it was chosen by fate. Or because this show deals with digital virus monsters, maybe one of them interfered and made us land on this episode. Maybe Tim Curry from this show hacked my computer.
I was so fucking surprised when I heard his voice.
Yeah, he's the get for the show. Kind of like
shame they didn't do anything with that.
Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters from Beverly Hills, that had the guy who played Otho in Beetlejuice. That was that show's get. And this one is, Tim Curry. My skin has gone very white because my desktop background changed to something very, very bright. There we go. Rock and Roll Viruside. So the episode opens up, if I recall correctly, with kind of a random
big fight scene. There's a random battle.
A random battle going on. We've got our hero of the show, Servo, not Tom Servo, just Servo, fighting these two like Godzilla type things. And I don't remember what happened, but for some reason they start fighting each other, and then Servo
they're bored. They're viruses. Viruses have no friends.
Oh.
So the giant bad guys in this are viruses, but they physically inhabit the microchips and technology, not just computers.
And we'll get into that, because I was taken aback by that a little bit myself when we get there in the episode. But so Servo is fighting these two like big like digital virus Godzilla type things, and then he kind of just pieces out, and then they start fighting each other, and then the battle kind of just ends. I don't know, maybe I wasn't paying close enough attention, but I didn't really get what was going on there. Him up. And the scene ends, and we're in a high school, and we get to meet who presumably are the heroes of the show. Bunch of teenagers. 3 boys, 1 girl. The girl has this little like device that she has like hooked up to one of the boys' like head. And
with a whole bunch of wires like connecting to this like Walkman doodad cyber tech
that she keeps like typing on. And because like sometimes like someone will ask him a question and then she'll start typing something and then he'll give like a really detailed answer. I was starting to wonder if this kid was like an android.
He's a robot.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's a robot. He's not because they make jokes about him not having a brain.
Right.
And then later on, they're like, "Oh man, it's official. Like you don't have a brain." And he's like, "Oh, it's okay. I wouldn't know what to do with one if I had one." He's actually funny.
Kind of, yeah.
And like self-deprecating, like humor. Like he can't be insulted. He doesn't have like an ego. So that must have been fun for the actor to like play that character. Again, we're going into this like rando, so we don't know how they acquired him, but it's probably something to do with their ability to go and fight these viruses in the cyber world.
Yeah. So they decide to he starts talking about how hungry he is. And so they decide to lead him like down like the because like they're in the high school cafeteria, and they decide to lead him down the cafeteria line. And I laughed out loud over the stupidest.
Weird. The cafeteria is like hidden by a wall.
Yeah,
because they didn't want to.
Because they didn't want to actually like have
show
like
a whole bunch
catering,
of food.
make food.
Yeah,
very much a budgetary maneuver. Yeah, so they go down like the food line in the cafeteria, but it's like behind a wall, so we don't actually see it. But the android kid, I think his name is Amp. He says out loud, he's like, "Wow, hot dogs!" And I just, for whatever reason, that line just made me burst out laughing.
Well, hot dogs and there's three things. He's like hot dogs and something. And creamed corn.
Hot dogs, key lime pie, I'm pretty sure, and creamed corn. Now, at this moment,
Imagine to have that youthful vigor and excitement over creamed corn.
This took me out of the episode immediately for a moment, I'm not going to lie, because I'm like, what fucking maniac would be excited about the sight of creamed corn? Creamed corn. Cream corn, people.
Christopher's weaknesses. People that like creamed corn. That's what took him out of it. That's what did it. This alien like android liking creamed corn ruined it. None of the other high quality things that happened in this episode. That's what did it. Excitement for hot dogs? Understandable. You're a stupid kid. Creamed corn? No kid likes cream corn. I mean, I did as a kid, but
I hated it. I
liked
hated
it with
then.
mashed potatoes.
I hated it then. I hate it now. It was always one of those things. Like, I don't know.
It's a poor kid. It's a food
old
bank.
People food.
It's also a food bank staple. Yeah. Telling on myself, if you have like a weird love hate for like cream corn, you may have been a food bank kid growing up.
If you have a weird hate for creamed corn, canned green beans, off-brand boxed macaroni and cheese, canned like pork and beans. Let's see, what else? Spam maybe, but not like actual spam, yeah. Like canned, those big like canned tins of ham.
Yeah, canned ham. Canned processed ham supplement.
Canned processed ham product.
There we go, product.
Yeah. So if you and Mr. Noodles. If you have a hate on for any of those things, you are probably a food bank kid.
Yeah, it's Mr. Noodles for me.
If you feel like you're going to vomit at the sight of Mr. Noodles or canned beans, you might be a food bank kid.
If you even know what Mr. Noodles is, you might be a food bank kid. So yeah, we didn't watch the rest of the episode. So we're going to make up the rest from here on out. What we imagine the episode to be.
Servo like throws some fists and he kicks the big monster guy in the face, and it's really cool. And
no amount of puns that we could think of could outright the puns in the second half of this episode.
Well, in this show, the kids appear to be in a band, and music seems to be a big theme of this show, I've noticed, and characters reference famous song titles in dialogue a lot in this show, which I did kind of appreciate.
A lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Way more than kids would
than
normally,
kids actually,
but they're not normally. They're not normal kids.
Yeah, like the girl at one point says, "Hit me with your best shot."
Right after there's a dialogue back and forth with song titles.
Yeah.
Like three characters, like Servo, the bad guy, the bad virus, and her, like go back and forth, and they're communicating just with song titles. So they must have had fun with that.
Tim Curry voices the main bad guy, whose name I don't remember, but he says, and I wrote this down, he says a line where he's like, "No bit, no byte, no fragmented kernel of his binary code will survive." I chuckled. Computer speak.
Now time to make my virus alive.
Now it's time to hack the web.
In cyberspace.
Oh, jeez. Anyway, so they go through the food line at the cafeteria, and they meet the cafeteria lady, who is has a Walkman headphones.
He's a very stereotypical cafeteria lady. Has the hairnet, heavier woman, right? Sour attitude, like that depiction of a lunch lady.
I would argue she's actually the best thing about this show.
Yes.
Like the actress who plays her is giving it her all in this.
No fucks given, no embarrassment, no pride, just fucking gives it.
Yeah. And especially later in the episode, she acts like a complete goofball.
She's joking around with the kids. One of them's a poor kid, I guess, who tries to compliment her and get discounts and stuff. The other people come up. One of them's a dumb jock who's got a huge pile of food and donuts, and she makes a fat joke about him. And he's like, "Hey, I'm big boned," and he takes his food and goes away. And then the villain, which is a rich kid with an accent.
Well, and right before this, we establish that the music that she's listening to is Beethoven, because she mentions Beethoven to Amp, the android kid.
Right? And I'm like, good for this lady.
And
he's like, I listen to real music.
And yeah, so the villain of the show, who is this very douchey kid who speaks with this fake posh accent.
I couldn't even tell you what it is. Posh, yeah.
Yeah, it's this really forced posh accent, and he's wearing he is well dressed, and he's his hair is done. So he's supposed to be a posh rich kid. But then he talks about how and this, I was so confused by this. He talks about how uncivilized Beethoven and pedestrian Beethoven is. And he's he says to the cafeteria lady,
oh, he throws money at her and he's like, keep the change and use it to buy.
Do yourself a favor and buy some White Zombie CDs. Which I'm like, fuck yeah, White Zombie. But that doesn't really fit with this character. This posh rich kid is talking about how
I listen to real music.
Is talking about how Beethoven is pedestrian and uncivilized.
Yeah, so I thought he was going to say Bach or Mozart or something.
Exactly, yeah. But then he's like, no, White Zombie.
Keep the change and use it to buy yourself. But on the other hand, they had a back and forth and he still tipped her. So I'm like, is this actually the good guy? Listens to White Zombie and tipped her? Because the other guys didn't.
Yeah. I would also like to point out that at the time this episode aired, White Zombie only had one CD. Yeah.
They're making a statement.
I was a big fan of White Zombie and Rob Zombie when I was in my early to mid teens.
What? I would have never have guessed.
I know, right? But yeah, anyway, so basically, and so the posh rich kid, the douchebag, the posh kid, that's what I'm just going to call him now. Yeah. He goes home and he's all like, "Ha! I will write." He sits at his computer and he's like, "I will write a computer virus to make that old wench listen to something a little more hip." And so he contacts the Tim Curry demon dude.
Yeah, I guess he's
the
liaison with the Tim Curry, the Rita Repulsa is Tim Curry's character. He doesn't actually fight anybody. He's there to make viruses.
Or Lord Zed.
Or there, yeah. He's there to make viruses, but he's the contact with the bad kid. So he doesn't actually write. anything. He doesn't code or like program anything. He just like contacts this guy and he's like, give me a virus.
Give me a rock and roll virus.
And he's like, okay, ha ha ha. I'll give you a rock and roll virus. And he blasts the other monitor because this kid's got two giant early 1990s monitors in his bedroom.
Those big gray CRT computer monitors.
Yeah,
we all saw them.
And there's like a cartoonized. I actually like this style. It's not just like the monster in like the suit in like the cyber world where it always shows them fight. It's like a what's the word, like a vectored, like pixelated kind of like little cartoonic version of him that like flips left and right.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, right, rock and roll, let's go. And he's like, hey, what did you do? And I guess he gave him a more rambunctious virus than he was expecting.
Yeah, and this like virus is like this like dinosaur type thing, but it's like whoa, far out, like talking like a California like surfer dude.
So where do you want me to like rock it up, man? And it's like, I need you to infect this cafeteria witch's cassette player.
You got it. Axl Rose ain't got nothing on me.
How does he know where to go? Also, how does he get there?
Also, how does a computer virus like this? We see like like a graphic of this thing like jumping from the computer into like
power and it goes lines, into like
power lines, and then through the ground, and then like into her
Wi-Fi, man. It didn't exist then, but Wi-Fi somehow.
And then into the cafeteria lady's like Walkman.
Yeah.
Which then like starts playing rock music to her. So the entire conceit of this whole episode is like posh hacker kid just wants to make the cafeteria lady listen to rock music.
But like, why not be like, hey, why not bring her a cassette and be like, hey, I like this, maybe you would.
Yeah.
Like, in a way, like he's almost a good guy. Like he wants to, in a reverse way, because he thinks he's more cultured. He wants to share his music tastes with the lunch lady.
Yeah.
But like he can do that without evil Tim Curry virus dinosaur. Well, but then there'd be no show.
Yeah, and then the virus dinosaur like gets into her Walkman, and she's like, it starts like it starts playing rock music, and she starts listening to that. And then very shortly after that, we see her in like the school, like
it's still the cafeteria, but it's on like a little stage.
Oh, I didn't realize it was still the cafeteria. I thought it was
still
like
the cafeteria. It's just like there's like a little stage that's set up there now.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like the school lounge or something like that.
Either way, she's up on like a little like stage. And she's like all rocked out and has like black makeup and like spiked like like leather. Her hair is like huge.
Yeah, she's got.
Pretty sure she's got like a V guitar.
Yeah, she does. Yeah, she's got like a V guitar, and she's just like shredding and like just singing
badly, but like still owning it. Yeah,
yeah. And
so the idea is that the technology can the viruses jump in technology and can brainwash people. Is that what I'm... Okay.
Yep. So the virus has like brainwashed her to be more cool.
And I'm like, what's the problem here?
Yeah. It'd be one thing if like, because she's like playing guitar, like just shredding away. It'd be one thing if she was terrible and like being like a noise, like nuisance or something like that. But she's actually like good. So I'm like, we made her cooler, and she's now is like just like has become like a pretty good axe woman. So like, I don't really see like,
let her chase her dreams, man.
Yeah, I don't see the downside to any of this.
So nobody else catches any of her performance because it's like during class time or after hours or something.
Yeah,
but it does show the principal come in and try to grab the the kids come in, and she raises her axe like she's gonna hit them. and then they kind of like back off or they get electrocuted or something, and they're like, whoa. And then the principal comes in and he's like, Miss Lunch Lady, what are you doing? And when he touches her, he gets electrocuted and like stumbles somewhere off screen.
Yeah.
And she's like, whoa, sorry, man. But like, you mess with the rock, you get my big fat rock. Or something like that. And she continues her performance. And then the kids are like, okay, we need to get to the I was gonna say computer lab. That might have actually been cooler. I think it's just the kids' one of the kids' basement.
It is, yeah.
And they don't like, I'm in, hack into anything. They go beside the computer and they go like, Cyberman, go.
Well, and hilariously enough, Servo, like the main kid, I don't know what the kid's actual name is, but Servo is who he becomes in the digital world. He like grabs his guitar and like strums it. And that's how he goes into the computer world.
I feel like based on the lines that are delivered by the others later, there's no one set thing that they have to do, but maybe Servo does have to strum his guitar.
He strums his guitar. One of them, because I get the impression these kids are in a band. Because Servo,
because one guy had drumsticks.
Yeah,
the dumb jock had like drumsticks, right?
And like Amp, who the android guy, who I guess is probably the singer, he says like a rhyme, and that's how he goes into the computer. And I can't remember what the girl does.
I can't because she went in first. Now, what I will say is the shot of the girl wearing the helmet inside. They're in a digital space, so I don't know why she wears a helmet other than it's cool. But there's a reflection of a whole bunch of lit up buttons in front of her that goes across the face. Yeah. That reminds me of like 2001 Space Odyssey, kind of like that effect of like all the lights and buttons reflecting off of like the spacesuit or whatever. That's really cool. That's the coolest kind of shot in the show.
Yeah, Star Wars did that too, I think.
And yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty common. It probably was 2001: A Space Odyssey that did it first, but it became kind of a staple of like 70s and 80s sci-fi.
Yeah, I never even thought about that, but I was like, oh, hey, that's the thing. They're doing the thing.
Because you know what it reminded me of, because of the fact that it's like she's wearing a motorcycle helmet, is it reminded me of the movie The Wraith.
Wraith.
Movie from 1986, very early Charlie Sheen film. And what
excuse me, princess.
What the Wraith was about was a young guy who is murdered by like a gang of like street racers.
Whoa, what the fuck is this? I've never seen this.
And he comes back in like an alien suit with like, and he has like a motorcycle like helmet on all the time and a really sick car. And he enacts revenge.
How have I never heard of this?
It's very much a B movie. Honestly, I think you might like it. Like it's
this
bad.
Looks like my kind of movie.
It's bad, but I don't know. I have a soft spot for it. It's a movie that I've liked since I was a little kid.
Car does look pretty sweet.
I think it's on Tubi, honestly, for free. So people go check out the 1986 film The Wraith. But yeah, the lights on the helmet effect, it made me think of that movie.
Huh. Got something to add to my watch list. Rad. Look how fucking cool he is.
Yeah.
And you know what? I will say that they look cool inside when they're in their like cyber vehicles.
So what happens with this battle, and this annoyed me, is Servo goes in, he strums his guitar, and he goes into the digital world. He fights the rockin' Godzilla for a little bit.
Rock and roll Godzilla, yeah.
The rock and roll Godzilla, who is like alternating between talking like Elvis and talking like John Lennon.
And a California. There's a lot of
like
he's going in between. There's a lot of music puns and like jokes.
Yeah,
And,
for a bit, he's like talking like Elvis and like being all, thank you very much. And there's a bit where he's talking like John Lennon. But his normal default voice is he's like talking like a California like surfer dude, like Bill
he's
and
giving
Ted type.
homage to the rock legends.
Right. And yeah, this is during this fight is when we get like all of like the song titles like in conversation. The only one I can remember off the top of my head right now is "Hit Me with Your Best Shot."
Yeah,
but there were a few others. So Servo goes in and fights Rock and Roll Godzilla. He's not losing or anything, but then the girl decides she's gonna go in. And she goes in and joins the fight. And then a few minutes later, while the fight continues, the other two decide they're going to go in.
Yeah.
And then once they're all in, then they merge into the Megazord, basically. So I'm like, why the fuck didn't they all just go in at the same time?
In fact, they're watching him on the monitors. The monitors are facing them and they're facing the camera. So a very nice way of them not having to kind of like picture in picture or like animate or show us what they're actually seeing, because what we're seeing is like the live action, like Cyber City that they have like set up. And it's cool, but they only have one set. Right. Yeah. It's like dark. Buildings are coming from the top. Buildings are coming from the bottom. Right. And they just kind of repeatedly fight in this one set. I don't know why they don't all go in at once. They're watching and they're like, yeah, get him. Oh yeah, haha, do this.
Yeah.
He's losing at some point because he's like being electrocuted by tasers. But then the others the last two decide to go in because they're bored.
Yeah.
But you can't make like the Megazord dude without
all four of them. Yeah. So again, I'm like, why didn't they just all go in at the same time?
Like, we know you're all going in, so why not just go get it done? And it's kind of weird too that like one of them's the main character, and like the other just have these like little like space shuttles.
Yeah, the main kid turns into like Servo, the Superhuman Samurai.
The Ultraman-ish looking.
Yeah, the Ultraman-ish. Yeah, there we go. The Ultraman-ish looking dude. But then the other ones, when they go in, they are just piloting vehicles.
And they like fly around and like shoot lasers.
And then eventually like link up with Servo Man.
Yeah, and like transform on him, making him like big and armored and giving him special attacks and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't remember what happens after this.
They win the fight.
Yeah.
They win the fight.
Does it show what happens to Lunch Lady?
So Lunch Lady, so we get, they win the fight, and back in the real world, Lunch Lady shows up, and she's not back to normal, but she's not a rocker lady. Now she is like talking about polka and has an accordion.
So she's in the hallway.
Yeah.
And she goes up to the kids and she's like, oh yeah, we do a polka. And she has an accordion and she's dressed in like German lederhosen and it's got the hat and everything, right? Yeah. And the kids look at each other and go, ah, and like they all run away. That was kind of funny. I'm like, why
and she kind of leans into the camera, like just starting to play the accordion, making like
what? Everybody loves polka, she says in like a German.
Making like goofy faces.
And then she like comes towards the camera.
Yeah.
Like breaking the fourth wall. And it's like, and I'm like,
and she's
that
like
lady
doing
is
this.
A star. Don't you like polka? And I'm like, what a fucking weird, what? So they didn't help her?
And then the Tim Curry Lord Zed type guy is just like, no,
and gives a monologue about like how he's going to defeat Servo or something.
Yeah.
I'll get you next time, Servo.
Yeah, and I think at the beginning of the episode too, he also gives
they warble his voice. Why would you warble Tim Curry's voice?
He gives a speech at the beginning of the episode too, like talking about like how he's going to destroy Servo and whatnot. And it sounds like a mission statement that a villain would make in like the first episode of a show. And then we move on. But it's like, okay, so does he give like a mission statement about how evil he is every single episode?
I feel like he does.
Because this is a random ass episode that we landed on.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. There's a lot here, but it's nothing of substance.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot. Whereas we've covered a few of other of these, and there's three scenes. And 1/3 of the show is like transformation sequences or something like that, right?
Yeah. Which there aren't a ton of those in this show. I'll give them credit for that.
Yep. They teleport, and they're fucking in. That's what it gets credit for. There aren't like 5-minute like transformation sequences. But there's just so many words that mean nothing in an attempt to machine gun jokes at the viewer that you start to kind of just like fit, like it's hard to like pay attention at one point. Whereas the kids were very talkative in Big Bad Beetleborgs, but I feel like they picked and choose. They were choosy about their puns, or more so here. And so there's a lot going on here, but more isn't better, I guess. I don't know.
Or is it more better?
Or is it more better?
So Cal, you just caught a random episode of Superhuman Samurai Syber-Squad. Would you tune in next time?
The lunch lady was the heart, the soul, if you will, of the that's a genre of music of the show. But oh man, it's like Bohemian Rhapsody. I appreciate it. I'm not listening to an 8 fucking-minute long song.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. And you can't, anybody listening, you're not listening to like it comes up randomly on like whatever like device you have or streaming thing you have. You're listening to the first 30 seconds, or you're like fast forwarding it or whatever. You're not listening to the whole thing. And this episode is like Bohemian Rhapsody on paper. And watching one episode, it was fun. I like the concepts. Everything's analog and like old school, and like, oh, it's time to hack. Hacking means talking to Tim Curry and like getting like a dinosaur. Well, again, on paper and saying this out loud sounds great. But one's enough. Like I don't think I'd tune in next week.
Yeah, the thing is with me is like this show is like top to bottom full of stuff that I should like.
That we should like. Analog hacking, check. Tim Curry, check.
Yeah, Tim Curry. It's got the like tokusatsu like style like fights. I love that shit. It's got
music themed.
It's got Japanese guys in like big like rubber suits, like punching and kicking each other. Like it's great. It's music. It's like hard rock and metal themed. Like great. It's got like the old school like 90s style of hacking. It's got like vector graphics
and shit, right?
The show's actually surprisingly got pretty good music. And like I even laughed like while I was watching the show sometimes. Like I thought there were things that were
hot dogs.
Yeah, I thought there were things that were genuinely funny in the show. And like the cafeteria lady is like 10 out of 10. Like it's just giving it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something missing.
Yeah.
And I can't put my finger on exactly what it is.
Is it that the kids are forgettable? Is it that the characters are forgettable?
No, because I actually liked the kids in the show just fine.
I did too. And they rip on each other, and it feels placid because there's only one area that they fight in, and I don't know. There's something missing. That's
well
said, but I can't tell you what it is.
Yeah, there's something missing from the show, and I can't quite put my finger on it. But yeah, no, I don't think I would tune in again.
Oh, okay. Because it seemed like you were super, super into it before, but just because you have all the ingredients of an omelet, right? Like you can still fuck it up. Oh, it looks
Yeah,
like it's scrambled eggs today. Right.
yeah. Or it's like I don't know. It's like the show like took all the ingredients and made like a really nice looking lasagna, but then only cooked it for 5 minutes, and you're just like, it was like
All the pieces are here, and you're like, oh, this could be good.
yeah, it's like everything this lasagna needs to be good lasagna is here, but you didn't cook it for an hour. You cooked it for 5 minutes. So I don't really want to eat it like this, you know?
We needed to let it cook,
Yeah.
and it didn't.
And it didn't, unfortunately. And
Maybe we just landed on a bad episode.
maybe we did, but the plot of this episode in particular feels like attuned to like my interests.
Like if anything would grab you, it would probably be this themed one.
Yeah, it would be like Lunch Lady becoming like an axe woman and like Rock and Roll Godzilla like wreaking havoc.
Right? On paper, saying this out loud, it sounds like a great show that we'd want to watch.
Yeah.
But like most things, just an idea does not a good show make.
Exactly. Well, there you have it, folks. That was episode 113 of the Lazor Comb podcast. Best way to support the show is go to patreon.com/lazorcomb, LAZORCOMB. Starting at the $5 tier, you get a bonus weekly Patreon exclusive podcast, the Super Lazor Comb Patreon Super Show. On this week's episode, we had a very lengthy thought experiment where we talked about what constitutes a war movie.
And then went through the gray areas of what constitutes a war movie. Often those are just as long as this podcast.
They usually are, yeah. We usually end up recording for about like 2.5 hours, and it's about half and half the Super Show and, well, this show.
Mm-hmm.
At the $10 tier, you get that, plus you get the occasional commentary track and the ability to pick a show for us to review a random episode of on this very podcast. At the $20 tier, you can also pick the episode. So if you want to get in on all of that, go to patreon.com/lazorcomb. Join the Discord if you want to interact with us, link in the description, or you can follow us on Blue Sky or TikTok, links in the description. Buy a Lazor Comb t-shirt, also another link in the description. So many links.
So many links, so little time.
So many links, so little Zelda.
There could be only one.
We will be back next week with episode 114 of the Lazor Comb podcast. We're going to jump back into Patreon picks. This is an old one that was submitted to me quite a long time ago. But apologies to Bemused Horseman. Kind of forgot about it, but we're doing it now. He wants us to watch Ed, and Eddie.
It sounds like you are very familiar with the show.
Yeah. And I'm absolutely overjoyed about watching it. To figure out what episode we're going to watch, I'm going to hit screen share. And indeed, share the screen. Share.
I used to watch this after school.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. But that has not been a marker on whether it's been a good show or not.
Wow, this show ran for a long time.
Right? Yeah.
It ran from 1999 to 2008.
Oh, I didn't realize that long. Thought it ended like 2005-ish. Huh.
Cool. There were 2008. Yeah, there were 69 episodes.
Probably not an accident.
Probably not an accident. So one random number between 1 and 69, and here we go. 48.
48.
48. 48 is... Oh, this is one of those shows where it's like 2 episodes in a half-hour block. Okay.
Oh, you know the rules. Oh, it is. There's kind of two. Right.
Yeah, like Metalocalypse.
Metalocalypse is like 2 15-minute.
Yeah, it's like 2 15-minute things in one like half-hour block. But okay, well, episode 48, which is a season 4 episode. Robin, Ed, and a Case of Ed. When a mysterious superhero named Captain Melonhead steals the money back and returns it to the kids of the cul-de-sac, Eddie thinks it's payback time and transforms himself, Ed, and Ed into the supervillain Professor Scam and his henchmen, the Cents, respectively. And a Case of Ed is Ed and Eddie trick Ed into believing he has a terminal illness while taunting a grounded Kevin. Ed and Kevin team up to retaliate against them.
I feel like this is going to age well, huh? Let's pretend we're handicapped to make fun of him. That's what I heard.
Trick Ed into believing he has a terminal illness.
Bonitis.
Well, we'll be back next time with that. And until then, I have been Cyber Siege, one of your hosts.
And I'm NeoCal Cyber Hacker.
Thanks for listening. We will rock you later. Rock you next time. Rock
you like a hurricane.
Rock you like a hurricane. There we go.
Bye.
This afternoon, don't forget to join your favorite cartoon friends on the Disney Afternoon beginning at 3, but now stay tuned for Transformers Generation 2, next on WGNO 26.
A superhero will appear, Superhuman Samurai. Superhuman Samurai. They're gonna amp it up, take some gigabutt. They're gonna rip it up, our hero always makes the cut. Superhuman Samurai. Superhuman Samurai.
Ever notice like the kind of people who are always like, I do not want to talk about politics. Can we just leave politics out of it? Like people who have that attitude, like when you start like really breaking down like what like figuring out like what their political beliefs are, they tend to be very right-leaning.
Always.
Yeah.
I've never heard like a left person be all like, oh, let's not talk like politics today.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always people with like right-leaning views who just don't want to admit.
I don't want to admit that. Listen, I don't want to have to talk about my bigotry and my racism and homophobia and transphobia. I don't want there to be a spotlight brought on that. I just want to talk about my transforming toys, okay?
Yeah.
Is that too much to ask?